The small town of Willow Creek was known for its picturesque landscapes and tight-knit community. However, beneath its idyllic surface, tensions simmered. For Emma Carter, life had always been a balancing act. A single mother in her early 30s, she juggled raising her 6-year-old son, Liam, with working long hours as a waitress at the local diner. Her days were filled with exhaustion, but her nights were quieter, reserved for the piano tucked away in the corner of their modest living room. Emma had inherited the piano from her late mother, a gifted musician who had taught her to play when she was just a child. Though she hadn't touched it in years, the instrument remained a symbol of her past, a reminder of dreams she had once nurtured but had since abandoned. Her hands now bore calluses from gripping coffee mugs and carrying plates, not from pressing ivory keys. One chilly October evening, Emma returned home after a particularly grueling shift. The diner had been packed, and her boss, Mr. Hargrove, had berated her for being too slow despite her best efforts. As she stepped inside her dimly lit apartment, Liam greeted her with a hug, his face lighting up with excitement. "Mommy, guess what? Mrs. Thompson said I can play in the school talent show," he exclaimed, holding up a flyer. Emma forced a smile, though her heart sank. She knew they couldn't afford costumes or props, let alone private lessons. Still, she didn't want to dampen his enthusiasm. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," she said, ruffling his hair. "We'll figure something out." The next morning, Emma dropped Liam off at school before heading to the diner. As she tied her apron behind the counter, she overheard snippets of conversation among the regulars. Word had spread about the upcoming talent show, and many were eager to attend. Among them was Sarah Whitaker, the town's self-appointed queen bee, whose daughter Chloe was also participating. Sarah's voice carried across the room as she boasted about Chloe's elaborate dance routine and designer costume. "Honestly," Sarah said with a dismissive wave, "I don't know why they even bother letting amateurs sign up. It's just embarrassing." Her gaze flickered toward Emma, who pretended not to notice. Everyone knew Sarah's disdain for Emma stemmed from an old rivalry in high school. Emma had been awarded a music scholarship that Sarah believed should have been hers. Later that day, as Emma cleaned tables, Sarah approached her with a smug grin. "So, I hear your little boy is performing," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "How quaint. Tell me, what exactly will he be doing? Reciting nursery rhymes?" Emma clenched her fists under the tablecloth but kept her composure. "He hasn't decided yet," she replied curtly. "Well, perhaps you could accompany him," Sarah suggested, her eyes glinting with mischief. "After all, didn't you used to play piano back in the day? Or was that just another one of your forgotten hobbies?" The jab stung, but Emma refused to give Sarah the satisfaction of seeing her flustered. Instead, she offered a tight-lipped smile. "Maybe I will." As the days passed, Emma found herself haunted by Sarah's words. What if she did perform with Liam? It wasn't just about proving Sarah wrong, it was about reclaiming a part of herself she'd buried long ago. But the thought terrified her. She hadn't played publicly since her teenage years, and the idea of stepping onto a stage again felt like opening an old wound. Determined to push through her fears, Emma began practicing late at night while Liam slept. At first, her fingers stumbled over the keys, stiff and uncoordinated. But slowly, muscle memory took over, and melodies she hadn't played in decades came flooding back. One night, as she worked on a particularly challenging piece, Liam wandered into the living room, rubbing his eyes. "Mommy, you're so good," he whispered, awestruck. Tears pricked Emma's eyes as she realized how much her son admired her. In that moment, she made a decision. She would perform with Liam, not for revenge or validation, but because it might inspire him to believe in himself. Meanwhile, tension grew in the weeks leading up to the talent show. Sarah continued to mock Emma whenever she saw her, spreading rumors that Emma was setting herself up for failure. Other townsfolk began whispering too, some curious, others skeptical. Even Mr. Hargrove chimed in during one of Emma's shifts, sneering, "You really think you can pull this off?" You've got guts, I'll give you that. Despite the mounting pressure, Emma remained focused. She chose a simple yet powerful duet for her and Liam to perform, River Flows in You by Yiruma. While Liam practiced singing along, Emma poured every ounce of emotion into her playing, channeling years of pain, resilience, and hope into each note. Finally, the night of the talent show arrived. The auditorium buzzed with anticipation as families gathered to watch their children shine. Backstage, Emma helped Liam adjust his tie, her hands trembling slightly. "Are you nervous?" he asked, noticing her unease. "A little," she admitted, "but we've practiced hard. We've got this." When their names were called, Emma led Liam onto the stage. The crowd fell silent as they took their positions, one at the microphone, the other at the piano. For a brief moment, Emma hesitated, her heart pounding. Then she glanced at Liam, whose trusting eyes gave her courage. Her fingers danced across the keys, and the first notes filled the room. Gasps rippled through the audience as Emma's skill became evident. Her playing was flawless, imbued with raw emotion that left no one untouched. Liam's sweet voice joined in, harmonizing perfectly with the melody. Together, they created magic. By the time the final chord rang out, the entire auditorium erupted into applause. Tears streamed down Emma's face as she stood beside Liam, bowing deeply. For the first time in years, she felt truly seen, not as a struggling single mother or a washed-up pianist, but as someone capable of greatness. Backstage, Sarah approached Emma, her expression unreadable. "I didn't think you had it in you," she muttered. Though there was a hint of begrudging respect in her voice, Emma simply smiled. "Neither did I." The aftermath of the talent show rippled through Willow Creek, like a stone dropped into a still pond. Emma's performance had not only silenced her critics, but also ignited a newfound sense of pride within herself. For the first time in years, she felt a glimmer of hope, a reminder that life could hold more than just survival. Yet, as the days passed, she began to notice subtle shifts in the town's dynamics. Some people were genuinely impressed, while others seemed uneasy, as if her success disrupted the fragile hierarchy they had long maintained. At the diner, customers who once barely acknowledged her now greeted her with forced smiles and awkward compliments. "That was quite the show," Mr. Hargrove remarked one morning, his tone laced with thinly veiled irritation. "Guess you're full of surprises." Emma nodded politely, though she couldn't help but feel his words carried an unspoken threat. She knew better than to let her guard down. Small towns thrived on gossip, and her moment in the spotlight had made her a target. Meanwhile, Liam basked in the attention at school. His classmates, who had previously teased him for being the kid whose mom works at the diner, now treated him with a mix of admiration and curiosity. "Your mom is amazing," one boy exclaimed during recess. "She plays piano like a superhero," Liam beamed, relishing the validation. However, not everyone shared his classmates' enthusiasm. Chloe Whitaker, Sarah's daughter, had been furious when Emma and Liam received a standing ovation, stealing the thunder from her meticulously choreographed dance routine. Sarah, ever the strategist, decided to turn the situation to her advantage. She began organizing a charity gala at the town hall, ostensibly to raise funds for the local arts program, but secretly to reassert her dominance. "We need someone to provide entertainment," she announced during a planning meeting, her gaze locking onto Emma. "Perhaps our resident pianist would like to volunteer." Emma hesitated. Performing at the talent show had been daunting enough, but playing at a formal event attended by the entire town felt like stepping into a lion's den. Still, she couldn't deny the opportunity to showcase her talent and perhaps inspire others like her. "I'll do it," she said finally, earning murmurs of approval from some and skeptical glances from others. As preparations for the gala unfolded, Emma threw herself into practice, determined to exceed expectations. This time, however, she wasn't alone. Word of her performance had reached an unexpected source, Mrs. Eleanor Grayson, a retired music teacher who had once mentored Emma's mother. Eleanor visited Emma one evening, bringing with her a stack of sheet music and a wealth of wisdom. "You have a gift," she said gently, "but gifts are meant to be shared, not hidden away." Under Eleanor's guidance, Emma refined her technique and explored pieces that challenged her emotionally and technically. One composition, Debussy's Clair de Lune, resonated deeply with her. Its haunting beauty mirrored her own journey, a delicate balance between light and shadow. As she practiced late into the night, Liam often sat nearby, sketching pictures or humming along. Their bond deepened, built on mutual support and shared dreams. Yet not everything was harmonious. The closer the gala approached, the more tension simmered beneath the surface. Sarah's passive-aggressive comments grew sharper, and rumors swirled about whether Emma's participation was merely a publicity stunt. Even Mr. Hargrove seemed intent on undermining her, scheduling her for extra shifts at the diner, despite knowing how much preparation she needed. One afternoon, as Emma juggled orders during the lunch rush, Sarah walked in with Chloe, her heels clicking against the tiled floor. "Busy as always, I see," Sarah remarked, her voice dripping with condescension. "Must be exhausting, trying to juggle work, parenting, and your little hobby." Emma forced a smile, refusing to rise to the bait. "It keeps me grounded," she replied evenly. "Something you might want to try sometime." Sarah's eyes narrowed, but before she could respond, Chloe piped up. "Mom, can we go? I'm starving." Sarah shot her daughter a sharp look, but relented, stalking out of the diner without another word. Despite these challenges, Emma remained focused. On the night of the gala, she arrived at the town hall dressed in a simple yet elegant gown borrowed from a friend. The venue was adorned with twinkling fairy lights and floral arrangements, creating an atmosphere of sophistication. As guests mingled and sipped champagne, whispers filled the air about Emma's upcoming performance. When her name was announced, Emma took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. The grand piano gleamed under the spotlight, its presence both intimidating and familiar. She adjusted the microphone, her hands trembling slightly as she addressed the audience. "Thank you all for being here tonight," she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "This piece means a lot to me, and I hope it speaks to you as well." With that, she launched into Clair de Lune. The opening notes floated through the room, soft and ethereal, drawing everyone into its spell. As the melody unfolded, Emma poured her heart into every keystroke, her fingers moving with precision and grace. Tears glistened in her eyes as she played, each note a testament to her resilience and determination. By the time she reached the final crescendo, the room was utterly silent, save for the occasional sniffle from the audience. When the last chord faded, there was a moment of stunned stillness before thunderous applause erupted. People rose to their feet, clapping and cheering as Emma stood, bowing deeply. Among them was Eleanor, her face glowing with pride, and even Mr. Hargrove, who grudgingly admitted, "Well, I'll be damned." Backstage, Sarah cornered Emma, her expression unreadable. "You've certainly made a name for yourself," she said, her tone softer than usual. "But don't think this changes anything. You're still you." Emma met her gaze squarely. "And what exactly does that mean?" Sarah hesitated, then shook her head. "Never mind, just don't get too comfortable." The applause from the gala still echoed in Emma's mind days later, but the euphoria was short-lived. Sarah's cryptic warning backstage lingered like a shadow, and Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was brewing beneath the surface. The town's reaction to her performance had been overwhelmingly positive, yet she noticed subtle changes in how people interacted with her. Some treated her with newfound respect, while others seemed distant, as if her success threatened their own sense of stability. At the diner, business picked up unexpectedly. Customers who had once ignored her now went out of their way to engage in conversation, asking about her music and complimenting her talent. "You should perform more often," one elderly patron remarked. "You've got a gift." While the attention was flattering, it also felt invasive, as though her private world was being scrutinized under a microscope. Mr. Hargrove, however, remained unchanged in his brusque demeanor, though he begrudgingly reduced her workload after several patrons complained about overworking the pianist. Meanwhile, Liam continued to thrive in the wake of their shared triumph. His confidence soared, and he began making friends at school, a welcome change from the isolation he had previously endured. One afternoon, as they walked home together, he turned to Emma with wide eyes. "Mommy, do you think I could learn piano too?" he asked eagerly. Emma smiled, touched by his enthusiasm. "Of course, sweetheart. We'll start practicing whenever you're ready." She realized then that her journey wasn't just about reclaiming her own dreams. It was about creating opportunities for Liam to chase his own. As weeks passed, Emma found herself spending more time with Eleanor Grayson, whose mentorship became invaluable. Eleanor not only helped refine Emma's technique, but also encouraged her to explore composing original pieces. "Your story deserves to be told," Eleanor said one evening as they sat side by side at the piano. "Why not let your music speak for itself?" Inspired, Emma began experimenting with melodies that reflected her experiences, the struggles, the victories, the quiet moments of joy. One piece, tentatively titled Willow Creek Reverie, captured the essence of her hometown, its beauty, its contradictions, and its resilience. Playing it felt cathartic, as if she were weaving fragments of her soul into sound. However, not everyone appreciated Emma's rising star. Sarah Whitaker, unable to tolerate being overshadowed, devised a plan to undermine her. Leveraging her influence within the community, she proposed hosting a regional arts competition in Willow Creek, inviting musicians from neighboring towns to participate. "It'll put our little town on the map," she announced during a town council meeting, her smile saccharine, "and give local talent a chance to shine or falter." Emma immediately recognized the thinly veiled challenge. Participating meant competing against seasoned professionals, many of whom had formal training and resources she could only dream of. Yet, refusing to enter would confirm Sarah's insinuations that Emma's success was a fluke. After much deliberation, she decided to take the risk, not for validation, but to prove to herself that she belonged. Preparing for the competition consumed every spare moment. With Eleanor's guidance, Emma honed her skills and selected a repertoire that showcased both technical mastery and emotional depth. She chose to debut Willow Creek Reverie as her signature piece, hoping it would resonate with judges and audiences alike. Liam, ever supportive, practiced alongside her, mimicking her movements on an imaginary keyboard. On the day of the competition, the town hall buzzed with anticipation. Contestants from across the region gathered backstage, exchanging polite greetings and sizing each other up. Emma felt dwarfed by their polished appearances and confident demeanors, but she reminded herself why she was there. As she tuned the grand piano before her performance, she glanced into the audience and spotted Liam sitting proudly beside Eleanor. When her turn came, Emma took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. The spotlight bathed her in warmth, and for a fleeting moment all her doubts melted away. She began with a classical piece, executing it flawlessly, earning murmurs of approval from the crowd. Then she transitioned into Willow Creek Reverie, her fingers dancing across the keys with effortless grace. The melody swelled and ebbed, painting vivid images of hope, struggle, and redemption. By the final note, the room was silent, until applause erupted, thunderous and heartfelt. The judges deliberated for what felt like an eternity before announcing the results. When Emma's name was called as the winner, she froze, unsure if she'd heard correctly. Then, amidst cheers and whistles, she accepted the trophy, tears streaming down her face. For the first time, she truly believed she had earned her place among the talented individuals around her. Backstage, Sarah approached her, her expression unreadable. "Congratulations," she said stiffly. "You've certainly come a long way." Though her tone lacked warmth, there was a flicker of genuine admiration in her eyes. "Thank you," Emma replied, meeting her gaze evenly. "But this isn't the end. It's just the beginning." The victory at the regional arts competition marked a turning point for Emma, but it also set the stage for new challenges. Her win brought unexpected attention, not just from the local community, but from beyond Willow Creek. A journalist from a prominent arts magazine attended the event and was captivated by her performance. Days later, an article titled "The Single Mother Who Turned Humiliation into Triumph" appeared online, detailing Emma's journey from struggling waitress to celebrated pianist. The piece went viral, sparking both admiration and scrutiny. For Emma, the newfound fame was bittersweet. On one hand, it opened doors she had never imagined. Invitations to perform at prestigious venues, offers to record original compositions, and even inquiries about writing a memoir. On the other hand, it amplified the pressure to maintain her success. "What if I can't live up to this?" she confided in Eleanor during one of their practice sessions. "What if it was all just a fluke?" Eleanor placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've already proven yourself, Emma. Trust in your talent and in who you are." Despite her doubts, Emma began exploring these opportunities cautiously. She accepted a modest gig at a nearby city theatre where she performed a mix of classical pieces and her own compositions. The experience was exhilarating yet nerve-wracking as she navigated unfamiliar territory filled with critics, high expectations, and larger audiences. Liam, now taking his first tentative steps on the piano, accompanied her to rehearsals, proudly watching from the wings. Back in Willow Creek, Sarah Whitaker wrestled with conflicting emotions. While part of her begrudgingly respected Emma's achievements, another part resented the attention they garnered. Determined to reclaim her status, she launched a smear campaign, subtly planting seeds of doubt among townsfolk. "Emma's gotten above herself," she whispered at the grocery store. "She'll forget where she came from soon enough." Though Sarah's tactics initially caused ripples of gossip, many residents remained steadfast in their support of Emma. Mrs. Thompson, Liam's teacher, organized a small celebration in her honor, inviting parents and students to attend. "Emma reminds us that dreams don't have expiration dates," she said during a heartfelt speech, "and that's something worth celebrating." As weeks turned into months, Emma found herself at a crossroads. A renowned music producer offered her a contract to record an album, which would require relocating to the city, a move that promised professional growth but risked uprooting her life in Willow Creek. Torn between ambition and stability, she sought advice from those closest to her. "Do what makes you happy, Mommy," Liam said earnestly one evening. "I'll go wherever you go." Eleanor added, "This is your chance to share your gift with the world. Don't let fear hold you back." Even Mr. Hargrove, surprisingly, chimed in during a rare moment of kindness. "You've worked hard for this, Carter. Don't throw it away because of people like us." In the end, Emma made her decision. She would sign the contract, but only on her terms. She negotiated to keep roots in Willow Creek, ensuring she could visit regularly and continue mentoring aspiring musicians through workshops. It was a compromise that honored her past while embracing her future. On the day she left for the city, the town gathered to bid her farewell. Friends, neighbors, and even former skeptics lined the streets, cheering as she drove away with Liam by her side. Among them stood Sarah, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. For a brief moment their eyes met, and Emma offered a small, genuine smile. Sarah hesitated, then nodded almost imperceptibly, a silent acknowledgement of respect. Months later, Emma returned to Willow Creek for a special concert organized by the town. As she stepped onto the familiar stage, she felt a profound sense of gratitude. Her journey had been fraught with obstacles, but each one had shaped her into the person she was today. When she played Willow Creek Reverie, the audience erupted into applause, tears streaming down many faces, including hers. Afterward, as she mingled with well-wishers, Eleanor approached her with a knowing smile. "See, I told you your story deserved to be told." Emma laughed softly, feeling lighter than she had in years. "And it's not over yet. Call to action. If you enjoyed this emotional journey of resilience and triumph, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories. Leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and tell us what's one dream you're chasing or hoping to chase someday.